Hello, I'm Donovan Hutchins of AHS-TV, and in this segment of Best of the Nest, we will take a look at WPIAL Classification.
All right, I'm Max of AHS-TV, and today I'm here with Mr. Cominos to take a closer look at the classification of the WPIALs. How does the WPIAL classification work?
Well, first off, the WPIAL doesn't actually do the classifications. That's done by the PIAA. That's the overall state governing body in which the WPIAL is a member. The WPIAL is actually District 7 of the PIAA. So what the PIAA does is it takes, for example, football. Let's use one of the bigger sports. It lists all the schools that play football across the state of Pennsylvania by enrollment. And from that enrollment, what they do is they just line them up from top to bottom. And then they draw even lines to create 6 classifications. So there's no definitive at 590 students you're in this classification. It's truly just 1/6 of the state plays 6A, 1/6 of the state plays 5A, and the whole way down to single A.
What made us jump from 4A to 5A? Now I'm talking I guess this would be more from football.
Sure. Well, actually, it kind of affected all of our sports. The big thing is the PIAA changed the rules. I want to say it was 2 years ago, but it could have been 4 years ago even, where if you had a student that attended, for example, a VOTEC or a charter school, a cyber charter school, only half of those students counted. The PIAA changed the rules because they felt that all those students are eligible to come back and play for their home school, so now we have to count them as 100%. Now, the one thing that we have Lenape VOTEC, which is a full-day program that has 4 sending high schools. The only kids that we count in that number are the students that would come to school here if they weren't in the VOTEC. So that's how our number increased the way it was, because we have a large population of kids that go to the VOTEC. So you think about that. If we send 50 kids to the VOTEC and we only had to count 25, that's a significant difference in counting all 50.
Now, do you agree with the classification system?
There's always work that can be done with the classification system. Right now, I'd say it's the fairest thing that we have on the books, because the classification system allows you to play up a classification if you so desire. In addition, there are certain requirements that if you have too many success points and so many transfers, then they force you up a classification. Aliquippa is always the prime example of that, because they've had so much success over the years. They're a AA size school right now that chooses to play up in AAA, which you're allowed to choose to play up. But because they had so much success over 2 years and a certain number of transfers, the WPIAL and the PIAA originally wanted to classify them as a 4A school. Now, they had an appeal process that they were able to go through, and they got moved back down to 3A. But they're still on the hook, though, for those success points. Our softball team is another example of a school that could have been moved up had we had the transfers. We went to the state championships, was it 3 years in a row in girls softball, and because of that success, we were almost in that same situation. The difference was we didn't have the transfer, so we were able to stay in 5A.
Are there any other changes you would like to see to the classification system in any way?
Like I said, the classification system is what it is. I have no issue, because the larger schools do have more access to A, more students. B, typically we have more funding that goes toward athletics, where some of the smaller schools, even some of our neighbors, Apollo Ridge, Leechburg, maybe don't put the same emphasis on their athletics because they have to spend more money on different areas within their budget.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with more of AHS-TV's Best of the Nest.
Just as no 2 oak leaves are the same, your journey at IUP is uniquely yours. Yours to explore your interests, pursue your passions, discover your calling. You will face challenges. Success comes with challenges, but you'll never have to go it alone. Whatever you need, from academics to wellness support, we'll be here for you throughout your journey. Get in the Grove at IUP.
Welcome back to AHS-TV's Best of the Nest. For those of you joining us, I'm Donovan Hutchins of AHS-TV, and I'm now joined by Costa Kuknis and Carter Lash to talk about their experiences with the WPIAL classification. What changes, if any, do you think should be made for the WPIAL classification?
I can't really say a lot about that because as far as I know, it really just goes off the amount of eligible boys who can play. But maybe Carter might know something.
And that's the problem. I don't know much about the WPIAL classification system. I can't really comment on it. But it needs to change. I just don't know where it should change at.
All right. How's our school being moved to 5A affected athletic performance?
I mean, like, from like a record standpoint, obviously, yeah, it's just better competition. But I don't think it's affected performance as in like what you're actually capable of doing. I don't think it's affected anybody mentally that much, you know what I mean? It's just you're playing better kids. It's not really affected anybody's performance, you know, it's just a number really, 5A.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think if you go to the leading rushers for the WPIAL, you have Matt Sieg on there, and he's number 2. But then you have Zane Dudat, the late and great. He was, I think, number 4 on the list. So,
For like all time?
yeah, I don't think 5A truly affects athletic performance. But
I mean, I don't think
you gotta be good.
there's not any classification that's going to affect your athletic performance. It's just as if, are you better than these guys or are you not better than these guys? You're still that athlete, you know? Has this affected morale among coaches and athletes?
I think it's more among like people, like spectators, you know. Like a lot of parents, I think, got more trouble with it than a lot of the coaches and players do. Because you're still playing football, you know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. It ain't make or break. It's just football. But I think more people who watch or just listen, pay attention to it, care more than the actual coaches and players.
Yeah, I also agree. I came off the field after one game. My dad looks at me, he goes, and this is after we beat Hampton, he goes, "What happened?" And I thought we won, so I was in a good mood, but obviously we didn't play good at all.
No, that was
So
not a good football game.
I think it does affect the families more than it affects us.
I think it does affect us to some extent. Like, I remember last year after Bethel Park, like, when we first played them with the rain delay and everything, like, I was so demoralized. I don't know, like, I just didn't feel great. Now, of course, you know, new week, you got to reset that. But, yeah, like, right after that game, I was just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Have our sports seasons had noticeable differences since we were moved to 5A?
Yeah, I would say so. Carter can probably
I
know about
don't
that.
really know about all the sports. I think softball does well in 5A. One of the basketball team, I think girls basketball also went high last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was 3 years ago, or 2 years ago.
But I think some aspects of our like wrestling, I don't know how the wrestling classification works, but I think probably 5A for wrestling would be good for our school. Like, I think it's definitely doable with the wrestlers that we
I don't know
have.
if sports go to 5A. I don't know if wrestling's one of those.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, definitely in our seasons, like, when we were 4A, we were playing a lot better. You know what I mean? I figured, I don't know. I think there has been a difference.
Definitely contended for a conference title a lot more often than not.
Yeah, but that was our goal every year. I mean, of course, in wise words of Mike Tomlin, the standard is the standard. So we want to win that every year, but, you know, it's a little harder. Has our school spirit and attendance to sporting events changed since we moved to 5A?
I think it's been getting better, you know, honestly. It hasn't been worse, that's for sure. Always hear him, everybody's always loud. A lot of people show up. Can't complain.
Yeah, I think it was enjoyable this year, you know, looking up into the crowd, seeing the students there. But I think if you go back to our freshman year, 2022, I think the sporting attendance was definitely higher that year when we were in 4A and we did well. We had that 10-2 record.
Yeah, when we played our freshman year, definitely, like, that was the most packed it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, crazy. Like, I think it was, like, Aliquippa was sold out, and then I think Freeport had, like, the most attendance out of any football. Like, in that our stadium up there is I'm pretty sure. I don't 100% know for sure. But I remember like that was just crazy. Like looking out and playing in that, like I was like, this is nuts. And then this like the next 2 years like really slowed down. Like last year, like attendance was not great in my opinion, but this year I think we really picked it up. I think it's really fun. Like I do love seeing what we have going on.
That was also a fun part about 4A. We got to play schools close to us. You had Indiana, you had Freeport, you had, I guess we went out to Newcastle, but like
That's
in
a
our
good
general
point.
area.
I mean,
and it was a lot funner game.
Yeah.
And we had more rivalries, it felt like.
Every game's like 2 hours away now. Get home at like 1:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not fun. But I also like, I don't know, I liked playing those teams in the 4A like more. Like I like playing Highlands and like Hampton. Of course I want to play Kiska every year, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we should win. But I don't know, it's just more fun. Like I have like a deeper root for those schools, like of wanting to beat them than like the ones we're playing. I don't know. I guess we don't really know them yet. Maybe if we stay here, if we stayed there longer our entire career, we'd probably be different. Do you think the current classification system is fair and accurate?
Like I said, I can't really talk about the classification system. I don't really know how it works, but
It is what it is. We're gonna play through it no matter what. But if you asked me if I agreed with the classification, if it's fair that we are, I would tell you I did not.
yeah.
All right. Do the schools that we play against look bigger in size than ours?
Yeah, definitely. No doubt.
I also agree. The only person that was smaller than me that I versed this year, I think, was against Franklin Regional.
What's more like the school size? You know what I mean?
I thought it was talking about like people size.
Yeah, people size, they're definitely bigger in 5A,
Yeah.
but like the actual school.
Yeah, I mean, every school was indefinitely bigger. I think Bethel had like 9 baseball fields for just whenever you went onto these school campuses, you definitely felt a bigger impact than what Armstrong has.
Yeah, I remember when we got to Bethel, I got taped up late. I was going out late to warm up, to snap, and I got completely lost. Like, didn't know where I was at. And I just panicked, went to the top, and I was standing there as all the fans were coming in with my jersey and shoulder pads. And I found a cheerleader from their team. I'm like, how do I get out of here? Like, how do I get to the field? So she had to help me out. But, like, I don't know, that was just such a huge school. And even, like, going up to Moon, like, I just remember thinking to myself, like, this school is massive. And, like, the numbers we have in right now are bigger than Bethel Park and Moon, I'm pretty sure. Like, if not just the same size. But I do remember seeing we were bigger than Moon, like, put it as that. And
Yeah, as you're walking down the stairs at Bethel Park to go to our locker room, you see every single WPIAL championship that they won. And the amount of WPIAL championships that you see walking down the staircase is just immense compared to our school. And it's off the size.
even if, like, the gymnasium there, I don't know, like, when we first walked in, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Like, their basketball court was, like,
Swimming
huge.
pools.
Yeah, it was so sweet. It's just like, yeah, I will say, like, we have a really nice school, like, constructed, you know what I mean? It's new, it's nice, but it's not as big as these schools we're going to.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice school. It's definitely new. It's a lot better than if we were at Katanning High School for sure, but the size is nowhere near.
Do you think it's fair that the kids from Lenape Tech are counted in our numbers?
I do, because we have Lenape Tech kids who play, but it's only 2 out of 150 that we count from there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, sometimes I guess just how the cookie crumbles, you know what I mean? But, like, in our case, that works out horrible for us. Other schools, doesn't affect them because they have kids who actually play from that tech, but we don't have anybody. And that tech also pulls from different school areas too, like Apollo, like kids who would be going to play for, like maybe a kid who plays for Viking Ridge or Apollo Ridge or whatever it is, he could go to La Tech, be counted as coming to Armstrong because he goes to Lenape Tech, but really he's playing football for Apollo Ridge. And, like, in that way, I see it not being fair, but...
Do those other schools count in, like Freeport, do they count their students, like from Lenape? Do they count all the Lenape students towards Freeport like they do for us?
I'd assume it worked the same
I
for
don't
everybody
know.
else as it does for us.
What I've kind of heard...
You can't be you can't be mad at the classification then if that's the case.
Yeah.
What I've kind of heard is like Woodland Hills had this, like I brought up earlier. I think what happened is like maybe just the biggest school that sends students there, they just counted against them, or the closest school to that school, they counted against them. Because Woodland Hills had like us, like they got all the numbers from the tech, and that's why they got moved up to 6A. But they appealed it easily, just went right back down, like very quickly, very smoothly. All right, do you think our school should appeal to the WPIAL board about our classification?
It already came out though for this next year. I believe we're still in 5A for the next 2 years. So.
Yeah, Kiski got moved down.
Yeah.
South Fayette got moved down, and that's just even Kiski, I was mind-boggled by how big that school
So do
is.
you think we would have got bumped down to 4A if we weren't in the playoffs?
No.
No, I don't think it would have mattered.
But then South Fayette, would they have stayed in 5A?
I
if
think
were in the
they
playoffs?
moved down anyway. I don't think that has anything to do with it, really.
Yeah, it's not like it's less skill. It's more of like your size. But I don't know. I think we just kind of get.
I think Kiski's fair in 4A, though.
I think we're fair for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I agree that Kiski is also, because their school wasn't like crazy big, but I was just like, I would say it's bigger than ours. You know what I mean? Like that gymnasium we got dressed in, that was like a pretty big thing.
It
Yeah.
was big. And then the problem is, though, they have, I think, like 26 kids on their roster. I mean, their
They have
kids were
a very
going.
small team.
Their kids were going both ways, like the whole game.
A young team too. All right, well, thank you, Costa. Thank you, Carter, for joining us today to get the Hawk's Eye view on the WPIAL classification.
Welcome to a place where opportunities abound, where students have the option to study healthcare in places all around the world, and thousands learn beyond the classroom every year. Welcome to the Oak Grove at IUP. Students here go out in the field to measure biodiversity, and even the Virgin Islands to study sustainability. Ready to pursue a real-world opportunity that brings your passion to life? Get in the Grove at IUP.
Welcome back to AHS-TV's Best of the Nest. For those of you just joining us, I'm Donovan Hutchins of AHS-TV, and I am now joined by Chanel Bronson and Mrs. Kidder to talk about their experiences with AI. Mrs. Kidder, do you think students overuse or abuse AI?
I think that is the ultimate question. So as teachers, we have to worry about it now. So this is like a new worry because of how AI has changed and adapted. But I would hope they don't abuse it or overuse it. But I do think that maybe it is used inappropriately. So that's a teacher's worry, especially in the subject of English.
Don't you have like a lot of things though that can kind of like tell you if it's AI though?
You do, so it just kind of depends on what tools you're using. But yeah, we have different tools that'll tell us, but sometimes they're not accurate. So I would never want to accuse somebody of using it if they didn't, obviously.
Chanel, do you think other students overuse or abuse AI?
Yes and no at the same time, because some people overuse it if they forget to do their homework or if they don't want to do it or they don't understand it. And in the end, where they're going and turning in their work and then they get accused of using AI and then they deny it, it's just not good.
Mrs. Kidder, do you ever use AI to create schoolwork for students?
I do. It's actually like some of the programs the school has provided for us, and we've had training. So it helps to, create shortcuts and assistance, I guess, for teachers. I mean, I don't fully depend on it, I think, but it is a good tool to use, and it saves time, so I can put my time towards more important things.
I feel like it'd be easy to like just tell a prompt, like I feel like you can get a whole worksheet out of it.
Right, and then like the worksheet isn't perfect though. So then you would have to go back and like manipulate it to how, like for the content you're teaching. It's not perfect, and you guys know that it's not perfect.
Yeah, it can
Sometimes
be.
it's inconsistent or it gives wrong answers.
Yeah.
Right, so obviously, there's that work there that you have to check it.
All right. Chanel, do you ever use AI on your schoolwork?
Not always, because I always usually like to use like the textbook or whatever, but I do use it on AP Stats because that is one class that I can't understand. and it usually helps me step by step to learn how to do it.
I've used it for a couple of math classes, like at times, just because I was completely confused and like didn't know.
It definitely helps with chem as well. I've seen people use it for chem, and it tells all the steps.
Mrs. Skinner, do you think students should be allowed to use AI to an extent?
I think this goes to what you two just said. If you're using it as an assistant to assist you, like you're struggling with your AP stats and you need help, then I think that that's appropriate. And it's a responsible use because you need that help. It's almost like going to a tutor, right? Like in the older times, I guess, we'd like have after-school tutoring. So you're using it, because you're so busy that's a way to ask for assistance. I think for me too, as a teacher, like I'm asking it for assistance, but I'm not using it because if you don't do the work, you're not going to understand it, right? So it has to be an assistant, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. It can help you out a lot, I feel like, but also can just kind of give you everything and just like then you have no idea what's going on.
Then you haven't learned,
Like you
right?
just use it on a worksheet and then the test you fail.
Right, so that's the fear, that it replaces your thought process and then you're not thinking and you're not learning and you don't have that content when you move on into whatever the next step is after high school.
Chanel, do you think it is okay for teachers to use AI for making schoolwork?
I do think it's useful for them because, the teachers already know everything they're teaching us. So it's just like a refresher. I know Ms. Contrail makes like videos for us to show us for like little slideshows and everything for either the unit or like books that we're reading. So I do think it's useful for the teachers.
Yeah, I think it's actually probably a good idea for a teacher to make a worksheet using it because they just check it all and then boom, it's good.
And they do have like a
Saves them
key
time.
if they make it a key.
Yeah, they can use the check tests quickly and everything.
Mhm.
Mrs. Carey, do you think that AI is helpful for helping students better understand material?
Yeah, it goes back to the last question. I think as a tutor, as an assistant, not everybody loves everything that we're doing in English or math or science or whatever it may be. So if you need help or you miss class and so you get behind on content and you don't have time to, I think it's good for everybody. It's just used appropriately.
I think it's helped me understand, but there's definitely been a point in a couple classes I've had where I just didn't understand anything and I was just like, do it for me. Chanel, do you think AI is a helpful resource to use when you're confused about your work?
Back to the AP stats and how I was talking about how I was confused. My math teacher, I learn a topic and then we move on to the next one once I just understand the first one. So it's a lot quicker than I'm used to. So it's definitely, if I go to AI and resort to that, it's definitely helpful for me and it just tells me all the steps I need.
All right. If you guys do use AI, which one do you use?
So I really like Google Gemini, and like we have Google within the school plan anyway, because I use Google Classroom and a lot of documents. But we've been using Brisk this year, and I think it's pretty neat to use. That's what I've had training on. So I think there's a lot out there, but some of them have become like the ones that we looked at last year in professional development are already like outdated. So I've used some that I don't like. Like I've used it for a presentation, and then if I do a different presentation, it looks the same. So I think that isn't really exciting or new or anything like that.
Is Brisk the one we used in class?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you liked it
I did. I thought it was good. I thought it helped.
because it kept making you right
Yeah.
until you got the answer,
I
right?
thought it was good.
Okay. Yeah, see?
So?
I like Goth AI because you can just take a picture of like the lesson or just like the questions you're going over and it just scans it and puts it through.
I haven't heard of that one. I usually use like chat.
No, ChatGPT is usually wrong.
Yeah. Doesn't mean
Not accurate.
I guess not. I was just kidding. How do you view AI as opposed to how a student would?
So I teach senior English. I guess my fear for students moving on is what it looks like if you do move on to college or into the workplace where you're using it, right? Like, is it replacing the work that you need to know how to do? Or, what kind of, because I know at the collegiate level, like it's obviously being monitored. So just, you have to be prepared and take the shortcut to making, so that's what I'm most worried about. That you can still do the thinking and write the paper and do what you need to do to be successful without making AI.
Thank you, Mrs. Kidder and Chanel, for joining us today to get the Hawk's Eye view on AI. Until next time, I'm Donovan Hutchins of AHS-TV. Keep on soaring.